I'll show you on the monitor government's exhibit P14. You said this is Beezy? Yes. Do you know Beezy's real name? No. Brian, I ain't sure. I know about Beezy though. How do you know Beezy? I know him from the same neighborhood. Do you know if Beezy has any gang affiliation? BGF. Do you know if Binky has any gang affiliation? Yeah, he was BGF. He was BGF? Yes. Were you and Binky in the same regime? No. Or same bubble? No. Do you know if, going back to Beezy, do you know if Beezy is alive or dead? Deceased. Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Barronette about Beezy dying? Yes. What did Mr. Barronette tell you about Beezy being killed? That he was trying to set Binky up, and for some reason, he walked in the alley, and they lured him in the alley. I don't know what made him walk into the alley, and Binky supposedly killed him back there. Well, shot him. You said supposedly? Yeah. Is this information coming from Mr. Barronette? From Tanner. So what did Mr. Barronette tell you? Said he shot him and he was still alive, but they didn't know it at first, and then they went back there and finished killing him. Who's they? Montana and Binky. In that conversation, did Mr. Barronette indicate whether or not there were any issues between Beezy and Binky? No. He said Beezy was trying to set Binky up. And what does that mean, set him up? Get him killed. You said that Beezy was BGF. Is that right? Yes. And that Binky was BGF? Yes. At this time, was Binky having any problems with BGF? Yes. What were those problems? Objection, Your Honor. Clarify how he knows. Yes, Your Honor. How do you know about the problems that Binky was having with BGF? Because something happened to another BGF member out at the club. And objection, Your Honor. Is this information where did this information come from? From the person that it happened to. Okay. Was this a BGF member or somebody else? Yes. May we approach, Your Honor? Sure. Your Honor, I don't think he's establishing the basis of this witness's knowledge, and I don't think these statements are in furtherance of this conspiracy. Mr. Gardner, where are we going? In terms of which part? What do you expect him to say? How does this connect to the conspiracy? In terms of what he's talking about with the problems. Right now, the Binky having a problem with some other BGF member at a club, and you asked him what was the source of that information, and he said it was this other person. I don't know who it is. So, and I'm not getting that very well. I think he has knowledge that BGF greenlit Mr. Harrison for a murder, and he's already explained that Mr. Barronette has said that Beezy was looking to get at him, or I can't remember how he described it. Set Binky up. Right. And so this is just a little background on that. I mean, I think so I can ask it in a little bit of a different way. To some extent, I don't. The fact that BGF was looking to, or that people were saying that Binky was greenlit, I don't know if it matters if it's true. It matters only that people were saying it from the perspective of Mr. Harrison. That's the reason why. That's the motive for killing Beezy, is that he was worried about being killed. So instead of being killed, he killed the person that was looking to kill him, which you've already established. Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, the problem with that is the fact that someone at BGF is greenlighting Binky brings in a whole nother crime, or that Binky did something to get greenlit. So it's like I'm agreeing with you. Okay. Before we go too much further, I can skip that. I think we can just move on rather than trying to get into exactly what was the problem. Okay, with the BGF. Can I ask a clarifying question? I think he's addressed it, but I want to make it clear that BGF had greenlit Binky. And I'm objecting to that. No, because I don't know where that comes. You've already got as far as motivation that, according to Mr. Barronette, Beezy was trying to set Binky up. What does that mean? It means get him killed. So therefore, okay, if the witnesses believed, Mr. Barronette and Mr. Harrison took him in the alley and shot him. Okay, so, Your Honor, I'd move to strike what the witness last said about something happened. He did start to answer. He did start to answer about that Binky had done something to somebody else before we all came up here. So at this point, I'm moving to strike that. It didn't have to do with what Mr. Barnett said. I'll just say disregard the last answer and move on. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to please disregard the last answer. It will be a different question. Yes, Your Honor. Going back to what Mr. Barnett told you about this situation, I'll withdraw. I'd like to show you what's been marked as Government's Exhibit P13 or P15. Excuse me. Do you recognize that individual? Marquez. Do you know Marquez's last name? No. How do you know Marquez? He lived in the neighborhood, grew up around him. P15 is up on your screen. That's Marquez? Yes. Okay. What was your relationship with Marquez? Nothing. Just like a friend. But I went to school with his brother. Okay. Do you know if he's alive or deceased? Deceased. Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Barnett about Marquez? Yes. Did he talk to you about how he was killed? No. He talked to me about killing him. This was before it happened. Okay. And then he was like he was going to make the person kill him who he robbed, which was Tavin. All right. Well, let's talk about that. So before Marquez is killed, yes. Mr. Barnett has a conversation with you about Marquez? Yes. Okay. Was Mr. Barnett upset with Marquez? Yes. And what was the reason for it? Because Marquez robbed Tavin, and Tavin was working for Montana. Okay. Robbed him of what, according to Mr. Barnett? Marijuana, money. You said Tavin was working for Mr. Barnett at the time? Yes. Do you know if Tavin goes by any other name or nickname? No. I'm going to show you Government's Exhibit P32. Do you recognize this individual? Yes. Who's that? Tavin. So we're looking at P32 on the screen. Who is that? Tavin. All right. I'll put P15 back up. So Mr. Barnett indicated that Marquez had robbed Tavin of marijuana, right? Yes. And did Mr. Barnett describe what he wanted to do about the situation? Yes. What did he say? First he was saying he was going to kill him, but then he changed his mind and said he was going to make Tavin kill him. Did he explain why he changed his mind? Because he was the only one that actually got robbed, Tavin. Why did that matter? So that means Tavin should have took up for himself and retaliated on his own, because it was personal. After the murder occurred, did you have any other conversations with Mr. Barnett about it? Not that I recall. Did he talk about what? Whether or not there was a plan to kill Marquez? Beforehand? Uh-huh. Yes. What did he say? When he was waiting for him to come around. When he came around, he was going to kill him. He was going to make Tavin kill him. Okay. I'm showing you what's been marked as Government's Exhibit P22. Sir, do you recognize this individual? Yes. Who is that? Dirty. How do you know Dirty? From being locked up and from the gang. What's his gang affiliation? BGF. You said you first met him in prison? Yes. What was his role within BGF? A Bush member. And what does it mean to be a Bush member? To be up high, at the top. Is that one of the higher ranks within BGF? Yeah, like the highest. Okay. Did he work in a particular area? Lexington Terrace. And did he work with other members of BGF in that area? Not that I know. I don't know too many people down there, but I knew him. Do you know if he's alive or deceased? Deceased. Did you ever have a conversation with Mr. Barnett about this individual? Yes. Based on that conversation, do you know if there was any ill will between the two of them? Well, he was telling me that Mr. Barnett was telling you? Yes. Okay. Barronette was telling me that they had a green light out on him, and I was asking him why, and he was saying for something that happened down Lexington Terrace, and I was telling him and he told me who it was, and I was telling him that I knew the person, and I asked him did he do whatever they say he was doing, and he was like no, so I said I was going to go talk to him. So let me ask you a couple of follow-up questions. So you said Mr. Barronette thought he was green-lit, is that right? Yes. What does that mean to be green-lit? Meaning, like it's a tag on you to kill you. And did Mr. Barronette specify who had greenlit him? He just said dirty.